are coming, and the water project is an indicator that the president keeps his promise.
I was in Yendi on 16th November 2019 in the company of my guest, the Prime Minister of the Caribbean island of Barbados, Her Excellency Mia Motley, QC, who enjoyed her visit here immensely and continues to talk about it. To join you, celebrate the Damba Festival, the first in 2 decades. In my remarks, I assure the Yana and all gathered at that colorful ceremony that the Yendi water supply project will commence soon. 8 months on, I'm happy to be here to see construction work finally commence. Yana Muhammad Abukari II, when I told you at the Damba Festival the great days lie ahead of Dagmor, this is what I meant, as this project signals the beginning of infrastructural development for Yendi.
President Akufo-Addo extended his gratitude to India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi through India's Exim Bank for making financing available for the Yendi water supply project. The completion of the water project will be of relief for the people of Yendi and its surrounding towns, and it is a good testimony of the strong bonds of cooperation between Ghana and India.
So in the northern part of the country, the children of the 90-year-old woman who died after being accused of witchcraft say their mother received several threats prior to the event of July 23rd, leading to her death. The Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Mrs. Cynthia Morrison, has visited the family in Tamale. The children of Madame Equia Dente told Madame Cynthia Morrison in Tamale that they reported the threats to the chief of Kafaba on July 21st and were assured that their mother was not in danger. Despite this assurance from the chief, the 90-year-old woman was dragged out of her house on July 23rd and flogged in public. She later died at home after complaining of chest, ribs and waist pains. Mrs. Cynthia Morrison condemned the incident and assured the family that the government will see to it that the perpetrators are punished.
This is a sad situation, but I know other horrific things are happening in homes that video have not captured, so we are not talking about it. But if the video captures, then we'll see that children are being maltreated. Fathers are maltreating their children and their wives. Wives are also maltreating their husbands, and it is all not right.
Sorry, when the meat Casa Obekasa was sick, obeying is a sick, Yamian ha, Yamian and 9, Yamian ha, Yamian, Yaman, paracetamol, paracetamol in the dear man. The dear man and was saying funny pudding. Then we dinner one year for that and parcel. And person was so legend, so they did you say Kurana man, or man went to Yan so. You're here and Yaman in the cleaner, because you do see a man for Anciana Asa. I see as a man, I see, yes, now Miami, Mammy, and look at that in the Dani, Abirwa, on baby, Yamsa. Nani, me banmo, and Timika Bibia.
Thanks. Back in the national capital, the National Development Planning Commission has organized a forum to discuss the coronavirus. The focus was the impact of the pandemic, lessons learned, and a proposed action plan in the face of the pandemic. The 11th in the series, the forum is to solicit stakeholder views on topical issues affecting the nation and its inclusion in the national planning agenda.
This is a platform to continue the national discourse on important national issues and also solicit the views of individuals and stakeholders to build a prosperous future for Ghana. The chairman of the National Development Planning Commission, Professor Emeritus Stephen Ade, said the coronavirus has necessitated the country to look inwardly to solve its problems while creating novel ways to do things better and smarter.
Ghana Beyond Aid couldn't have come at a better time, because this time it's not only aid, you can have a situation whereby all your borders can be closed. and therefore you have to rely on yourself. Therefore, I believe that the people we should be celebrating are the farmers who have produced sufficient food for this country when there was a total lockdown. Our manufacturers, our entrepreneurs.
The keynote speaker at the forum, Chief Economist at the African Center for Economic Transformation Asset and advisor to the Minister of Finance, Dr. Yawansu, spoke on the topic, Ghana's development response to COVID-19 pandemic, building resilience against hazards.
The stabilization part really is about mitigating the impact, the immediate impact on the lives and livelihoods of Ghanaians, and also making sure that the economy continues to function and avoid widespread job losses and or losses of income by a wide group of the people.
He said in response to the pandemic, governments will focus on manufacturing, housing and digitization, among others.
Why just stop at building hospitals? Why don't you use it to develop the capacity of the construction industry so that after you're done, you have the capacity that's complemented with, mortgage finance on the demand side and construction finance on the supply side, and also access for state developers to easier access to land. Then you have the basis of really making a great push on the housing industry.
In adherence to COVID-19 protocols, a limited number of attendees were in the auditorium while the event was streamed live on social media.
Due to the Eid al-Adha celebrations, which comes off on Friday, 31st July, the Electoral Commission has rescheduled the final phase of the ongoing voters' registration exercise, originally to start on 31st July. The new date, according to the EC, is Saturday, 1st August 2020, and will end on 6th August 2020. The registration centers for the final phase will be published in the newspapers on Thursday, 30th July 2020. The Commission apologizes for any inconvenience caused by its earlier announcement. You're still watching News Hour live on GBC News, and still on the Eid. On Friday, 31st of July, Muslims mark Eid al-Adha, one of the holiest days on the Islamic calendar. Muslims remember Ibrahim's loyalty and obedience above all else, and his willingness to sacrifice his son to Allah. But Allah intervened and provided a sheep for you.
On this festival of sacrifice, Muslims slaughter ruminant animals, but this year it will be difficult to observe this tradition due to the coronavirus and restrictions in place on social gathering. GBC News was at the livestock market at Akwitia Line in Kumasi, where herders come to sell their animals ahead of festivals and other events. A sheep or goat, which previously sold between 700 and 1,500 at the market, now sells between 1,000 and 2,000 Ghana cedis. The herders complain this year has been especially difficult due to COVID-19. The chief of the Akwitia Line livestock market, Alhaji Abdul Rahman, was concerned about low sales due to the global pandemic.
The
pandemic has affected prices on the market, but we are hopeful we will make sales by close of day.
A customer at the market, Alhaji Ali Mohammed Tanko, was worried about the high prices of the animals.
The price difference is high as compared to last year, but we will definitely buy.
The launch of the 25th GJA Awards has taken place in Accra. The theme for the awards, which comes off later this year, will have the theme COVID-19 and credible presidential and parliamentary elections, the medical factor. The coronavirus is still causing distress in many parts of the world, and it remains the duty of the media to bring the issues from the remotest parts to the fore. For this reason and more, the Ghana Journalists Association says journalists who have received the bar in carrying out their duties in 2019, as well as those who have distinguished themselves this year in the fight against the coronavirus, will be honored. Though the virus has infected a number of journalists, they are still soldiering on. For credibility and transparency in the 2020 presidential and parliamentary elections, the GJA is currently running a series of programs on electoral reporting for journalists across the country. Greater Accra, Eastern, Volta, Shanti and Bono regions have so far been covered. Other regions will take their turn next month.
The media must scrutinize every cycle of the electoral processes and ensure that they pass the test of transparency, inclusiveness, accountability, and competitiveness.
The Vice President of the Ghana Journalists Association, Madam Linda Santieje, gave highlights of the requirements for this year's awards.
Entries should cover works published from January 1, 2019 to December 31st, 2019. 2. Entrants may submit not more than 3 published works in total. However, one work shall not be entered in more than one category. Entrants should submit clear original published work and 5 photocopies of each of the entry. All entries must show the dates of publication, broadcast, and the medium in which the work was published. News agency stories should carry the conventional media or on the online or internet should also be considered as published.
The cutoff for submission of all entries is 5 p.m. on September 9, 2020. Journalists who want access to this year's categories can log on to the association's website, www.gjaawards.com. The best journalist for 2018, Madame Doreen Hammond, charged journalists to be fair and transparent in their reportage, especially in the upcoming elections. We go to the Upper East region, and the government is soon to introduce a MasterCard Foundation Recovery and Resilience Fund to support micro, small and medium enterprises. This financing is to cushion businesses that have been affected by the coronavirus. This was announced by the regional manager of the NBSSI in Bolgatanga during the regional launch of Young Africa Works.
The partnership between the MasterCard Foundation and the National Board for Small-Scale Industries, NBSSI Young Africa Works Partnership, is to enable 3 million young people, particularly women, to access noble and fulfilling work by 2030. 70% of the beneficiaries of Young Africa Works Partnership will be women. The components of the program are to transform young people into successful entrepreneurs, equipping and training them through apprenticeship programs and fast-tracking the growth and productivity of MSMEs. The regional manager of NBSSI, Bukari Mohammed, said Young Africa Works is an important intervention offering opportunities for young people in the region.
NBSSI MasterCard Foundation will roll out MasterCard Foundation Recovery and Resilience Fund very soon to provide financial support to MSMEs in the country. I wish to also say emphatically that everybody can apply so long as you are a Ghanaian to benefit from this noble intervention.
Launching the initiative, the Deputy Director of Administration at the RCC, Alhaji Ibrahim Habila, called on all in various business ventures to take advantage of the opportunity to grow their businesses. GBC News spoke to some beneficiaries of the NBSSI in the region. They complained of the impact of the coronavirus on their businesses, but hoped the MasterCard Foundation with NBSSI will turn around their fortunes.
Some of us have started with NBSSI since long, and we are able to put up a processing center that will employ, but we have not yet able to complete it. We have some of the machines that NBSSI gave us as a grant.
We had a lot of support from NBSSI. they have ever been able to make some training for our people, our women at the various communities. Yes, and we've been working with them. We come for a lot of their activities on how to innovate or extend or improve in our weaving.
It is mandatory in Ghana today to wear a face mask when you step out of your home to any public space. Even though there is a human face in implementing this directive, while it has become an issue of moral obligation, the wearing of face masks, especially in some rural areas like the Oti regional capital, Dambai, is not encouraging. Many complain about the equally worrying non-adherence to this protocol by patrons who on a daily basis use the ferry between Dambai and other communities like Ketekrachi, among others, on the other side of the Oti River.
Dambai in the Oti region lies on the eastern side of the Oti River, a tributary of the Volta Lake. The town's market is very busy with customers from other districts like the Krachi East district. The occupation of the inhabitants is farming and fishing, and with COVID-19 in the country has come the need to adhere to certain health and safety protocols to curb the spreading virus. One of the directives, which is now law, is the compulsory wearing of face masks whenever one steps out of home into a public space. However, a walk through Dambai shows a different situation, with people going about their everyday trading and other economic activities with no face masks. The only means of movement from Dambai to other districts, including Krachi East and towns like Ketekrachi and others, is by ferry provided by the Volta River Authority or the use of boats and canoes. A visit to the bank of the river and on any form of transport on the river shows a worrying situation. Officials of the Volta River Authority, managers of the ferry on the river, have not and do not check temperature as being done to some lorry terminals in the country. They also do not ensure that people actually wear their face masks before boarding the ferry. From the point of sale of tickets to boarding and disembarking from the ferry, which sometimes includes selling of food on the ferry, there is no assurance of any measure to reduce the risk of infections on the ferry. There is, however, a dysfunctional Veronica bucket on the ferry. People who also choose to use boats and canoes even face double safety issues of non-availability of life jackets and the complete disregard for the wearing of face masks directive. Attempts by the news team to speak to officials on the ferry were unsuccessful as no one was willing to speak on this. The Oti region currently has recorded 175 COVID-19 cases. Meanwhile, the management of the Ghana Water Company has donated about 300 buckets of water to the Volta Regional Coordinating Council for onward distribution to frontline workers in the management of COVID-19 cases in the region. The acting chief operations manager of the company, Mr. Emmanuel Johnson, made the presentation. The Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Lecha, received the package and thanked the company for the gesture.
The Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, on Thursday morning presented 100 buses to 100 senior, high and technical schools in the country. Dr. Bawumia said the gift demonstrates the government's desire to make quality education free and accessible to the Ghanaian child.
It was 4 months ago that the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, presented pickups to district directors and circuit supervisors across the country for better supervision and monitoring of teachers at the district level. The 100 buses to the 100 schools fulfills the promise made by the Vice President when he presented 365 pickups to district directors of education and 493 motorbikes to circuit supervisors in March 2020. The 100 buses to the second cycle schools will improve quality education in the recipient schools. The vehicles will also assist in the running of the schools and transporting the students to various competitions and field trips. The beneficiary schools are in the Ahafo, Oti, Bono East, Western of Savannah regions. They did not benefit from the 2016 distribution. The Minister for Education, Dr. Matthew Poku-Prempeh, said the government is delivering actionable policies in the education sector for quality, free and accessible schooling for every Ghanaian child.
We believe these are essential parts of the work you do. Because if you're a circuit supervisor and you cannot travel within your circuit, you cannot deliver on your work. And if you're a district director and you cannot travel within your district, likewise you cannot. Just as schools, if you can't have the vehicles to transport students and staff in and out of various functions, the school may not have been functioning very well. Today's event is yet another demonstration of the government's and His Excellency and the Vice President's passionate commitment to the education sector.
The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, said the government's comprehensive investment in the education sector over the last 3 years is a clear pointer to its passionate determination to develop Ghana's human capital to support its transformation agenda.
This government will continue to invest in education of its citizens because it is the right thing to do. We will continue to invest in our frontline managers in our educational institutions. They are central to any education reform we seek to pursue, and we must equip them with the necessary tools to enhance their work. We will not relent on this commitment, and the key to the transformation of this country is education, and that is why Nana Akufo-Addo has kept his focus on education.
The various heads, the buses were timely.
But when you come to my school, the only bus we have is now in the garage. We can't even move it. So in all our activities, we have to hire cars for our practicals, our excursions, what have you. So this car is coming to boost the morale of the workers, students alike.
I'm very happy today that we have taken delivery of this bus. It will go a long way to help us a lot. During this COVID session, I had to separate my school. So I had to take my Form 2 students to New Kokrompe to accommodate them because of the social distancing. So moving up and down, we had to bus food, breakfast, lunch, supper to New Kokrompe for the Form 2s. As I'm talking, they are busy writing the end of semester. But sometimes it will even go and leave the food on the way. And now we have to even bus our exam materials too. After sending the food, they have to come and take tutors for invigilation exam materials. So in fact, we will be so much grateful to have this bus, and it has come at the right time.
Dr. Bawumia said there will be another batch of distribution of buses and pickups before the year ends to schools that have not yet received any buses or pickups.
Zoomlion Ghana Limited, in collaboration with Waste Management Company Ghana Limited, it is under the auspices of the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. The exercise is being carried out in all the 33 districts and municipal assemblies in the region.
The Eastern Regional Minister, Mr. Eric Kwachi Dafor, said the 2-day disinfection and fumigation exercise is necessary due to the current global pandemic. He said the first phase yielded good result.
As part of measures to contain the virus, to maybe put a break to the spread of the coronavirus that we have on our hands. And so we are disinfecting and fumigating a lot of public places, markets, offices, hospitals, and other facilities where we have people going in and coming out. And I believe this is being organized nationwide.
The Public Relations Officer of Tebel Ghana Limited, Edem Akumato, told GBCs and public toilet across all the 33 district and municipal assemblies in the region.
The acting medical superintendent of the facility, Dr. David Mekano, said the hospital has no option than to rely on nearby hospitals and is asking for help to keep the life safe.
Hospital are of the view that a mortuary without fridges and other logistics is just a shell, as a mortuary cannot function without a fridge. The ultra-modern mortuary building was put up by the government and was expected to have a capacity of 200 bodies, offices, changing rooms, washing rooms, embalming areas, Muslim area, pay point, and a reception. The building, which has been completed, is currently not operational, and this is hampering effective and efficient health delivery services.
Any dead body we receive or any dead body at the polyclinic and this place has to be referred to other facilities, mainly Kolibu and then Winneba. As it stands now, Kaswa as a municipality, doesn't have any government facility with an operating theatre and a mortuary.
The acting medical superintendent of the Kaswa Mother and Child Hospital, Dr. David Bekano, said the hospital is now seeking a public-private partnership to run the mortuary.
Currently, we are talking to private individuals who may come in to draw proposals for a public-private partnership. That is what we are waiting for. When they bring their proposals and then we send them to region and then they are approved, then there may be a go-ahead for them to come and set up, and then they may have some time to reap off their investment, and then the facility becomes fully for the hospital.
Built in October last year, the Kaswa Mother and Child Hospital runs only maternal services due to lack of infrastructure and human resource. As the only government hospital in Kaswa with an operating theatre, the facility is key to the health needs of its residents. Formally opened a month ago, the operating theatre has performed about 170 surgeries so far. Authorities say they are adhering to all the COVID-19 protocols and have not recorded a case.
"34-year-old Priscilla Parry has been diagnosed with end-stage kidney disease. Doctors at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital say she needs an amount of 100,000 Ghana cedis for a kidney transplant to live a normal life. She's therefore appealing to the public for support.
End-stage kidney disease occurs when a chronic kidney disease reaches an advanced state. In end-stage renal disease, a patient's kidneys are no longer able to filter waste and excess fluids from the blood. In such instances, the only option available to the patient is either dialysis or a kidney transplant to stay alive. Meet Miss Priscilla Parry. She's been diagnosed with end-stage kidney disease and has lived with the condition for some time now.
First, no dialysis, no. Me say, no, me start, no. Me we are be wa me timi twahwe kra na matofom. Ya family to structure so ma mada kakra sana. Benitia ya mama yako fi. Te to bi okra me ba na me yam hihim. Dialysis na me beda so. Me dwe ho sa bi wa me nda.
Narrating her story to GBC News, Miss Parry said about a year ago she wasn't feeling well and noticed a discoloration of her eyes, specifically yellow. She was asked to go to the lab and test for typhoid fever. All 3 different renal tests came out negative. She was then asked to do a kidney test and that came out positive. These are pictures of Miss Priscilla Parry a few years ago before her condition. According to Priscilla Parry, she has a donor who is on standby to give her one of her kidneys. Should she get the 100,000 Ghana cedis the doctors are asking for, the procedure will take place on 21st of March 2020.
Na mintimi nyami transplanting skanu die minya bi madwuma nyina asai for the past 1 year ni mitifie de medicra ne to bia edi mame timi pegana for cho omomboa me na mintimi nya me life back na me mbo me bra me pese me bo wi ase ne pomocho isrom do bia benya bia kakra bia onfa mboa me nyese na na metie.
Donors who wish to support Priscilla Parry can send their donations to Momo number 0242 235450 or Priscilla Parry account number 0122 0258010114 Universal Merchant Bank UNB Kofodia branch.
In the same vein, 28-year-old Tofik Sulemana is appealing for support. He has been diagnosed with a condition called craniocervical tumor, which has affected his spine and nervous system. 2 surgeries to improve his situation, according to doctors at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, will cost 37,000 Ghana cedis.
This is the home of Tofik Sulemana. 3 years ago, Tufik complained of joint pains and was sent to the hospital. He was subsequently referred to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital and after a series of tests was diagnosed of craniocervical tumor. The disease has currently affected both his hands and he can neither hold a spoon nor a toothbrush, making him dependent on neighbors. As an only child and orphan, occupants of this compound help take care of him. The situation becomes worse when he wants to take a bath or use the toilet or even sit.
I don't have anybody. There's no any support anywhere. So I'm here pleading with every Ghanaian, including institutions. Please, any institution to come to my aid, since I do not have anybody. Life is difficult for me. I can't remain this way. I can't.
This is virtually where he spends his entire day, running into weeks and months. And this, according to him, can be stressful and lonely. But there's hope. Experts at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital say if he can raise 37,000 Ghana cedis, he can walk and touch again. His dream and hope and prayer is to live a normal life. Anybody moved to support Tufik Suleimana financially can do so through Momo number 0541 211588. Gift TAG, GBC News, Accra.
News Hour returns after this break with business. Please stay with us.
Ghana is a beautiful country. There is so much of it you probably haven't seen, haven't experienced, haven't touched, haven't felt, haven't eaten. When this is all over, let's discover our land again. With new eyes, let's feel each other again. We are one people.
Hello, good afternoon. Good to have you join us for the business segment. And I am Dorothy Achimai. GCB Bank has declared a dividend of 20 pesos per share for its shareholders for the 2019 financial year. The development comes on the heels of a temporary ban on dividend payment by the central bank due to the adverse effect of COVID-19 on the financial sector. The board chairman of GCB Bank, Mr. Jude Arthur, described the performance of the bank in the year under review as robust and a sterling one.
The result of a careful assessment of what contributed to the profit line in 2018. So based on the assessment, we moved towards the most critical areas of expanding our business in the unbanked sector, enhancing our protocols in governance, taking charge of some of the things to make sure that we get value for money. And of course, I must also congratulate the management of the bank for the focused manner in which they approached our business plan this year. I mean, at a certain point in the year, we thought we wouldn't even make the target. But when the board met with management and we sat there and revised, we knew the opportunities that we had to take in the market. In terms of sufficient for the investment shareholders have made, I would say the dividend may not be as much as we would have liked to pay. But you must also understand that the value to shareholders does not come only from the dividend, but it also comes from the value of the shares they hold, and which derives from the strength of the company itself. The measures that Bank of Ghana put in place about dividend was not looking only at the profit of the year 2019, but it was looking at the plowback that would make banks survive the COVID-19 pandemic and not put depositors' money at risk. We face competition not only from other banks, but also from the telcos in the utilization of such platforms. But we have an advantage. We already have a big national presence, and I believe that by the end of the year, we would have made our mark in terms of the customer base and the total utilization of our platform.
Reports from the World Bank indicate that in a full potential scenario in which women play an identical role in labor markets to men, as much as $28 trillion could be added to global annual GDP by 2025. But a forum by women leaders on the economic and social impact of COVID-19 on women and girls across the globe shows that the headwinds have pushed many of them into poverty due to the economic recession. The virtual conference was organized by Mashav, an Israeli organization. Edward Nyakun reports that about 20 countries, including Ghana, participated in the conference.
Mashav is Israel's Agency for International Development and Cooperation and is responsible for the design, coordination and implementation of the State of Israel's worldwide development and cooperation programs in developing countries. And with COVID-19 on the radar, Mashav held a virtual conference for women leaders on social and economic impact of the COVID-19 on women and girls. The focus of the conference was on building resilience through cooperation and partnership in the midst of the pandemic. This is because at the onset of the pandemic, nations looked within, and these affected millions of women who are drivers of economic growth globally. Recounting the Ghanaian experience during the pandemic, Ghana's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Madam Sheila Yokobochi, said government of Ghana voted 54 million cedis to feed the vulnerable and absorb water and electricity bills for all Ghanaians.
The interventions outlined above highlight some of the interventions of the government of Ghana, which inure to the benefit of the vulnerable members of society, many of whom are women and girls. For me, therefore, building resilience through partnerships and cooperation during this COVID-19 pandemic must happen at all levels: community level, national, regional, continental, and the global level. At all these levels, it's important for governments to be clear about what they want to achieve and to put in place the right strategies to achieve them.
Representative of the Colombian government said women make up 60% of the workforce in the informal sector, but most of them do not have access to the internet, and their businesses were negatively affected by the COVID-19. She added that the IMF says about 180 million women are likely to lose their job if governments don't put in place measures to enable women to adapt to technology. Participants of the Mashav e-conference call on governments and multilateral institutions to come up with financial packages and credit facilities for women in developing countries to help rejuvenate their economies. Also, they urge countries to continue to work together to push for a vaccine and a cure for the pandemic and make it affordable and accessible to all, especially women and girls. Edward Nyakun, reporting for GBC News.
The Young Africa Works partnership between the MasterCard Foundation and the National Board for Small Scale Industries, NBSSI, has officially been launched in Accra by the First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo. Similar events were held in Cape Coast and other regions in the country under the theme Creating Dignified and Sustainable Work for Ghana's Young People.
Statistics from the International Labour Organization indicates that Ghana's youth unemployment rate for 2019 stood at 13.69%, a 0.01% decrease from 2018. In line with the government's Ghana Beyond Aid agenda, the Young Africa Works project will create 39,000 jobs, 70% of which will be women, over a 3-year period. The project targets graduate youth, out-of-school youth, school dropouts, and women-owned and micro, small, and medium enterprises (MSMEs). The NBSSI and MasterCard Foundation Young Africa Works partnership was cemented in December 2019. This project falls under the NBSSI's Youth Entrepreneurship and Employment Program and consists of 3 main interventions. These include innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurship, apprenticeship to entrepreneurship, and MSME business acceleration. The Greater Accra Regional Minister, Mr. Ishmael Ashite, was optimistic the project will enable young people to access dignified and fulfilling work as entrepreneurs are empowered to expand their businesses. The Executive Director of NBSSI, Mrs. Kosi Yankee Aye, emphasized the role of NBSSI in entrepreneurship and MSME development and how the MasterCard Foundation's Young Africa Works project will contribute significantly to facilitating this mandate.
The investments from the MasterCard Foundation to the National Board for Small-Scale Industries over the past year has exceeded over 100 million Ghana cedis. And this partnership and funding is just to support women and the youth.
The First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo, commended the MasterCard Foundation and the NBSSI for championing the initiative aimed at putting young people to work since they are an asset to the labour market.
Realizing the immense potential impact of our youth to our national development, figures from the Ministry of Information indicate that between 2017 and 2020, the Nation Builders Corps has created about 100,000 jobs for young people. We need the private sector and other bodies to support youth employment and entrepreneurship.
The Young Africa Works project will run across all 180 districts offices of the NBSSI and accessible on its website. The First Lady presented startup kits to some young women.
You're watching the business segment of News Hour on the interbank market today. The US dollar maintained its value to trade at 5 cedis 68 pesos and the pound sterling at 7 cedis 36 pesos. The euro gained 3 pesos to sell at 6 cedis 68 pesos. Up next are the figures. On the commodity board, light crude gained 48 cents to trade at $40, 79 cents a barrel. Gold lost $16, 4 cents to its value to trade at $1,955, 33 cents an ounce. However, cocoa maintained its value to trade at $2,341 a ton. And that's it for the business segment. We'll be back after this break, please.